Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. It's about quiz number 2. I'm David Zeidel and I'll take you through what your quiz was. So the first question was, why is this graphic problematic? And if you have a look at this, you can see this is 35%, this is close to 40%. It shows it as if this is about 5 times bigger than this one, when in reality, it's not 5 times bigger. It's just slightly bigger. And the problem with this is you can see the scales. And rule number 1, golden rule number 1, a bar chart has to start at 0. If it doesn't start at 0, it is misleading. If you don't want to start at 0, if you wanted to emphasize this difference, then you have to break the scale and indicate that you've broken the scale. So the answer to that first question then is the axis, minima or maxima, are inappropriate. So here it didn't start at 0, and that's what created the problem. The second question, what is your biggest reason why this is a misleading graphic? It shows that the temperature has gone up massively. And in this particular case, it's showing just for the last few months, doesn't show what happened beforehand, and that's what we call data cherry picking. It just picks the little bit that highlights the point that you want to make without giving the full story. So that would have been your correct answer there. Question 3, what is the biggest reason why this is misleading? Can you see there are no numbers around it, just pictures. And what this is, the axes are missing numerical information. When you're doing a graphic, you need to have the numbers over here indicating what this is. This isn't giving any of that, so it's misleading. Why is the following a somewhat misleading graphic? Excuse me. What you've got here is, it's a very nice graph, but it's not clear what those axes refer to, so you can't see what that is. Is this body or these numbers? Not 100% clear, and therefore the correct answer would have been, it's not clear what the axes refer to. Predictive analytics. What is predictive analytics? It uses patterns derived from historical data to predict the future. You're looking at what happened in the past, predicting what you think is going to happen in the future. And that's what predictive analytics is. The reason why machine learning differs from traditional statistics is that the machines teach themselves. In machine learning, the algorithms learn and change based on the data, where traditionally we just do that. You might have seen this even with your cell phones. You get in your car, you're about to go home, you haven't said anything to your cell phone, but your cell phone comes up with a message, it's going to take you 25 minutes to get home now. You haven't told it you're going home, but it knows based on past events that at this particular time, this is when you leave work, this is when you go home, and so it'll give you that information. That's machine learning. The machine learns and teaches itself. This one some of you struggled with, so I'm going to take you through kind of the workings of this. So we're looking at this. Say you are doing an analysis of a company rebranding exercise. You calculate customer responses using a pilot study. You estimate that the rebranding could capture you an extra 5% of the total market share. So this created some confusion with your answers. It's 5% of the total market. The following are other information. The average product has a lifetime customer value of 2,000. So every time you sell to a customer, that's the value you're going to gain. There's an estimated total market of 15 million customers. So if you're going to gain an extra 5% of the total market, you're looking for 5% of those 15 million. At the moment, you have 7 million customers. The rebranding cost will be 700 million Rand in advertising. And this 700 million is what it's going to cost you, regardless of whether you get 1 customer, no customers, or 5 million customers. That's what it's going to cost you. So when you've got a cost and it's not dependent on the number of customers, that's what we call a fixed cost. So just remember that. That's a fixed cost. New packaging is also more expensive, to the tune of 13 Rand per customer. So it's 13 Rand for every additional customer. This is linked to the customer. If we don't sell any if we don't get any more customers, it's going to cost us nothing. If we get 1 million customers, that's going to cost us 13 million. So it's per customer. So that is variable. It depends on the number of customers. Okay, so let's just go through this again before we look at the questions. Every time we make a sale, we're going to gain 2,000 Rand. The total number of the entire population or the total market is 15 million. At the moment, we have 7 million. The fixed costs for this exercise is going to be 700 million. The variable cost is going to be 13 Rand per customer. Now, let's look at the following questions. And I'm going to go to the Excel spreadsheet for this so we can have a look at what we've done. So the question was, what percentage of market share will you have if you go through the rebranding? And if we look at the market share, we're saying the total market is 15 million people. We might gain an extra 5%. That's what we're estimating. And 5% of 15,000 is 750 customers. Okay. Now, some of you wrote this answer as 750,000 customers. Sorry, did I say 750? 750,000 customers. Some of you answered this question as 750,000 customers, but please look at what the question says. What percentage of market share of the total market will we have if we go through this? Also remember, no decimals, and we must include the percentage. So your answer was 52%, but how did we get there? We had 7 million customers before the branding. We now added the extra 750,000 if we got that extra 5%. And so after rebranding, we would have 7,750,000 customers. Out of how many? Out of 15 million. And if you do that percentage, 7,750,000 divided by 15 million, you would get the answer of 52%. So that's how we got to that answer. The next question was calculate the mean estimated profit from the scenario. And again, we wanted the answer without any decimal points. So this is saying the estimated profit. We want to know what our profit is. So the best way to work through something like this is to use an income statement grid from a break-even point of view. So we've got, and it's important to look at, you've got sales, minus your variable costs give you contribution, minus your fixed costs give you net income. If you look at it, this column we put anything that's per unit, and this column we put anything that is the total amount. So what do we know at the moment? We know this information over here. We know that every person we sell to, we're going to make 2,000 Rand. We know that our variable cost is 13 Rand per customer. That leaves us with each customer that we add, in fact, is going to give us 1,987, 1,987 Rand. So I'm going to put in this sales, and I'm going to actually write it in here. Less variable cost equals my contribution. Equals my contribution less the fixed costs is net income. If any of you haven't done this exercise before or anything like this, a nice little grid to use makes it simple. And I've put that in the contribution, and these things over here, I don't actually know yet. And so I'm going to blank that out, and I don't know that yet. So what I do know is that my fixed costs is going to be 700 million. So I've created this grid. This is per unit because these are per unit, 2,000 per person. This is in total. And so what I do over here is I now say, if I've got an extra 5% of that 15 million, that means I've got 750,000 customers. Each customer is going to give me a lifetime income of 2,000. So if I multiply that out and I take 750 times 2,000, that is going to give me the 1.5 trillion. So that'll give me that income. I then take 750,000 times the variable cost. So I'm really taking that minus that, which gives me the contribution. So I take 750,000 times that contribution, and that is going to be my total income. That's my cost, my fixed cost. And if I take that minus that, I will land up with 719,250,000. And that over there is the answer that we're looking at. Calculate the mean estimated profit. So we're saying the average profit, mean is the average profit, average estimated profit from the scenario with no decimal places. And so that's how you would answer that question over there. The last question we're looking at is, what is the break-even market share needed to make no profit? So we want to know how many customers do we need to get to be at break-even. Break-even meaning that this exercise didn't make us any money, but also didn't lose us any money. And the answer is we need at least 352,290 customers. But how did I get to that answer? I use the exact same exercise that I've done, and I put in what I already know. And I don't know these figures over here yet. So I've got that grid, exactly what we had before for question 9. Sales less a variable cost gives me contribution. But in this particular case, I'm saying that, let me just delete that. I'm saying that our income should be 0. And if our income is 0, and we've got fixed costs of 700 million, something minus 700 million would give me 0. So clearly, this should be 700 million. And if I know that this is the total, and this is the per unit, if I take the total divided by the per unit, I will get this answer. And this answer is the number of people. This is not rand value. This is the number of people. And there's your answer. But let's just work it out and see if it works out nicely. If I'm taking 352,290 people and I'm making 2,000 per person, if I multiply that out, I'd get that number. If I multiply this by the variable cost, costing me 13 for each one, you can see very clearly that this number minus this number would give me that 700,000, and you would get there. So I hope that answers the questions for you. So that was questions 7, 8, and 9. And that's all, folks. Have a good evening.